Oh, that's right. It is Monday, April 5th, 2021. And we are here to cover the 19th episode of Big Brother Canada 9, as they say
Brother.
in Newfoundland. I'm already converted over to the way they say it there. As we enter week 6 here on this season. I'm Dave Mader coming at you here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting, joined with Jaemeel Robinson. How are you doing tonight, Jaemeel?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today on this fine evening?
On this fine first contact day, if you are a Star Trek fan. If you're not, then it was just the beginning of a Big Brother week. But yes, I'm doing well, and you are.
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Enjoying the festivities. Easter Monday, first contact day, Big Brother, first episode of the week. Get it on.
Yes. Did you have a good Easter?
Yeah, I did. I took the entire weekend off. I did not look at my messages for work. Work did not exist for these 4 wonderful days.
Same for me. I was focused on podcasts and some work in that department, but in my other professional life, I was completely off the grid, and I was happy for it. But tomorrow, back to reality,
Yes.
as they say. But for tonight, we are here to cover this next episode, as we saw Beth's HOH Reign of Terror, if you can call it that, or maybe it was more like a Jedson HOH. With Beth as sort of a figurehead. We could debate the merits of that. Did you like this episode tonight, Jaemeel? Did you enjoy this?
To be honest, no. And that has to do with what I'm looking forward to later on this week.
Okay, because you know what's to come, but just for the entertainment value tonight, you didn't
Was
get.
it a good episode in terms of presenting information? Yes, it was a good episode.
I thought it was actually. I enjoyed this some dynamics here tonight. I thought that some of the stuff with Beth and Rohan, maybe some of the more intriguing stuff, if it's real. I don't know how much the show is selling me this idea versus how what the reality of this is. I would be curious to know that. But that was kind of a unique thing, because you saw her that maybe Beth thinks for herself a little bit independently and is not necessarily going to just do what Jed and Ty want all the way down the road, at least. But she does acquiesce here in some of her bathroom confessionals that she is not willing to go against them at this stage. It's too early, and I tend to agree. It's not really the time to go against your allies when you're still in this numbers game.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Like, I think they overestimate their ability in the end to pull off a victory. So far, outside of Jetson, between the three of them, they've won 2 competitions, and Beth has tied the most. So, in terms of their ability, we don't necessarily have proof, right? Proof is the underlying thing that should be a main motivating force for whatever they do going forward. Proof, can you trust Rohan? Well, in his best interest, I guess you can kind of trust Rohan, right? Trust that he won't put himself in a position where he'll kind of screw himself over. Versus Tara, can you trust Tara? You can trust that Tina can kind of keep her on a short leash and make sure that Tina will kind of direct her to where she needs to go. Tina seems more or less very still, trustworthy in terms of the Sunsetters, in a sense, right? Not there's proof. There's been proof that that you can kind of trust them to be them and look after their interests. Versus other people like Brayden. Can you trust Brayden? Well, you can trust Brayden not to do anything because he hasn't done anything, right?
Right.
Then you have the fourth person in our kind of discussions, and we'll go into more detail about how this episode played out. But Victoria obviously is the final option of the people possibly to go up. And can you trust Victoria? You can trust that. Will she look after her best interest? No. Can you trust that she'll do something rational? No. So, in terms of all the other people who seemed at least rational and you can kind of track their train of thought, Victoria is kind of spinning the bottle, and then that's the move she's going to go with.
Right. Well, yeah, Victoria is sort of this interesting floater character that now exists, and sort of what her longevity in this game is going to be sort of interesting to play out, because that was sort of like, is she the backdoor plan this week or not? If you ask Jed and Ty, not. If you ask Beth and maybe a lot of other people, sure is. They would love to get her out, and Beth's not necessarily against that. There's probably something about Victoria she doesn't enjoy, and considers her a threat.
Wait, there's something. Is it
Maybe.
like
I'm
is it
speculating.
difficult? It's difficult for you to comprehend how someone would not enjoy the presence of Sir Lady V.
Well, when you're one of the greatest
spice.
players in the history of this game, I don't know how you can't get on board with that.
I am so good at this game.
She's so good at this game that you have to take her as a legitimate threat.
Grass is grass.
You can't, and then okay. I have so much to ask you about in this episode, so I feel like I need to go back to the beginning.
We're going ahead. We're
going ahead. Okay, just on the recap tonight, I had forgotten that Jed and Ty were known as the Undercover Brothers, that they had formed this.
I've never heard of this thing before.
Is this
never?
Okay, so I didn't forget this. This is, but they say it in this like clip here that they played from episode 1 when they went into the house together, right?
I guess it was like mentioned, and we didn't think it was like an actual name.
It's a name. This was a callback tonight. They're like the Undercover Brothers, and then they kind of started. This was the narrative that they kind of started the Sunsetters. They were like the founding fathers of the Sunsetters. They were like the Batman and Superman to this Justice League.
And that's a very good metaphor for their team,
with Beth being the Wonder Woman, of course.
Yes, the Trinity, and that would be the Trinity, right?
Yeah.
You know what? A lot of people always assume that it was Kiefer and Tina that kind of put this together when they talked about forming an alliance while in the captain's room. But whatever type of story they want to tell, that's fine. Is it super important? We know that Jed and Ty were together, day one, and we do know that Keith and Tina were talking day one as well.
Yes. So, I think it's just reinforcing that, even though there is this showmance with Jedson and Beth, that Ty and Jedson are very, very close too. And while they may not have been friends before this, they were sort of aware of each other. They had been around each other, you had said, in basketball tournaments or something of that sort. Okay, and then there was a little bit just about how they were the isosceles triangle. We saw that, some of that. They have the social geometry, some of the phrases being thrown out here. But Bubbly Beth is the HOH here. There was a little bit of this Jedson claiming he threw this competition tonight, which I found a little bit distasteful.
I know I can do this. I came here to win comps, and that's what I'm going to do.
He basically said that he threw this competition. Do you believe him? This
I
HOH
don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. I think he made a mistake, because that answer was way too awful to be a throw.
Yeah.
I don't.
I think you just misinterpreted the question.
Possibly. Like if I was anyone, and like I would have thought, you know what, this that answer is a little, the word, a little sus.
A little sus,
right?
That's a little sus.
It's a little sus, right? It feels a little off. It feels a little off in terms of the answer. So it's either a boneheaded play or it's messed up, like in terms he was throwing it.
Right. Yeah, I just thought Jedson's lack of maturity I see in him sometimes, quite frankly, and this was an example of that. Because give Beth her due. She won this fair and square. She, and she earned it, right? She obviously has a strong memory, so she's more of a comp threat than maybe anyone's given her credit for, and she has her own longevity in this game, perhaps because we've seen her as sort of a disciple of Jedson and Ty, right? And maybe not a player in her own right so much, but I think that my view on her shifted quite a bit in this episode, and how even though I get that Jedson has this immense amount of influence over what she's going to do at this stage, I see the capacity for her to maybe go against that down the road.
And at the end of the day, it is what the perception is that is going to be her legacy. And if the perception is whatever she does, if it's perceived that was Jed's move, then it's not good for her in the sense that, what are you going to go to the jury and explain to yourself? But if the House thinks that they kind of went against Jed and Ty's wishes and kind of took control of this week, then obviously, good or bad, in terms of if she gets eliminated, the House will have more respect for her than they currently do right now.
Right. Yeah. So that's a fair point. That if she kind of needs to make this week mean something for her in some way, she has to have a move or something that she can look back and not say, I was just kind of doing what they wanted to do. And we see here that she does argue a little bit with Jed and Ty, saying like, this is good for you two, but not for me. Don't you see that? They don't really see it because I don't think they just don't see that.
Which is a very important thing if you're going to be in you're going to be in an alliance. Being able to speak your mind and say, hey, like, I want to let you guys know that I am aware that this is better for you and not for me. Right. So please look at it from my point of view. I think she is vocalizing what we kind of see with happening with Kiefer, and their reaction is what she needed so that she can move forward in this game. She might have previously just assumed that everyone's looking out for everyone, but at the end of the day, it's still only one person winning, and you got to do you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's speaking to perception. We saw here Beth picks her 4 have-nots in Brayden, Ro, Tina, and Tara.
Oh God.
So she says, I can't put my boys up.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
She can. She doesn't have to. She, like, I think you would say, if you're clearly not on my side of the house, this is a legitimate move to put your adversaries on, in a weakened position on slop. But you may not, people might consider you a dirty player if that's the narrative they may want to take into the jury house. So I don't know if this if this was net positive for best game tonight, what she did here.
Even if she put one of them up, it would be perceived as like a sign of goodwill, right? The fact that she put none of them up is just like a slap in the face that you guys, like, we see where the important people are and you're not important.
Right. Yeah. So Beth, she plays a loyal game, I guess you could say. She's loyal to the soil, Sunsetters for life, all of those things. She's now to get it
for life.
Sunsetters for life.
Then Brayden, he had some testimonials tonight, some diary room sessions saying he's here to play.
He's in the game.
He's in this game. I don't know if you knew, but he wants you to know if you didn't know. And a couple moments here with Brayden tonight where he was like talking to Beth, he was talking to different people. I was kind of like seeing him as a player, and I was kind of impressed with what I saw. Quite frankly, he can have a pretty strong connection even with people he's not directly working with. At least in the case of Beth, I don't, maybe. Well, and we've seen he's had connections with other people.
Where was this all along? He did his side of the house a disservice by not employing this type of social game. Him and Austin playing house in the corner over there did nothing for either of them to win. And the fact that he's put himself in a good spot, but what if this was happening weeks ago?
Very different game. Yeah, you're right that I think him and Austin were in some kind of a feedback loop of something like that they couldn't get out of how much they loved each other or how much like they felt connected to one another and wanted to learn about each other and to the detriment of their entire game. like it starting with Victoria, but that was a symptom of the bigger issue at large, which was that they just couldn't get past their own relationship. Which, good for you if you met somebody you're really tight with. Like, hey, all the power to you. But
But you guys could be tight like in 30, 40 other days and like, chill and talk to each other every day. Like, this is an opportunity. It's like you're at a job. You got to put in work, right? You can't just play hooky in the break room and just chill while other people are putting in hours, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the week, when you check your paycheck, it's going to show a big fat 0 while the other ones are reaping the fruit of their labor.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. This was something in that sense. But Braden, good on you. Like, I hope this continues because I was impressed with what I saw tonight and how like he's working now with Rohan. Now that Rohan lost Kyle, was that his name? And
remember him?
Remember him weeks ago? And Braden lost Austin clearly. So now they've sort of found each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're sort of loosely aligned with Tina and Tara. However, they both want to put the target on each other if they're not in power, which is fine. There was these four were talking in the pantry. Well, so this was after the Sunsetter celebration, right? Where Kiefer was clearly with them having a huge party in the room. And there was like that pot that was wobbling. You see with Tina?
Yeah.
It was like everybody knew. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the optics are here for Kiefer, but he looks like he's clearly with them, right?
With the Sunsetters, with the trio, the triangle.
With the trio, he's closely aligned with the trio. He's clearly shown that.
He's loyal to the soil too.
He's loyal to the soil, but I thought that was kind of a shh, but maybe not so much.
He can't help it.
He can't help it.
Everyone sees.
Like, this was not subtle on the part of the trio and I guess the Sunsetters, because Tina is not a Sunsetter anymore, right? She's an ex-Sunsetter.
Tina technically is a Sunsetter via Kiefer, kind of keeping her, aligned still.
Mm-hmm.
Like he kind of like relays information from Tina, saying how Tina is still on their side, kind of thing, and that Tina's going to take care of Tara, keep her in line.
But does she know like the Sunsetter for life sign? Does she know like for life and all that?
I don't know, but she's still considered a Sunsetter. Now, what Kiefer is not aware of is how where the Sunsetter and its team is in the hierarchy in terms of like Jed, Ty, and Beth's focus, right? Because for them, the triangle is a lot more important than that, right? Now, where does the Ghost Peppers fit in that alignment? Right? Where does the Undercover Brothers fit in that alignment? All we know is that the Sunsetters are pretty low.
Right. That's low profile.
Well, not even just low profile, low in priority. Okay.
Well, I'm not sure what. Okay, sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second.
No worries.
We were having some connectivity issues there.
Okay, so you didn't catch that. That's fine.
Not fully.
Okay. Sunsetters aren't necessarily a priority to the trio, the triangle.
Okay. The Sun, what those, which is basically just Kiefer and Tina at this point because LaToya's gone.
Correct.
Right. Okay. The have-nots, these four that we talked about, Tina, Tara, Ro, and Braden talking in the pantry, how Beth didn't look good here. That, it would have just saying that they would never put one up. It just wasn't sitting well. And, so I got a couple of quotes here from Tara tonight,
And now we're going to lose another number.
Yeah, we're going to lose another. They're lamenting that they didn't win, that that Beth won. But that is true. And they were going to have to throw each other into the bus.
God, the talking begins.
The shit talking begins. We had Victoria and Beth talking here. I didn't pull this as a clip, but it was like the final 9 of season 9. Yeah, they were having that. That was their celebration. And okay, my read on this whole thing was that Beth and Victoria have this kind of interesting relationship where both think that they are sort of have the upper hand in this relationship, or sort of else, because I didn't know how Beth really viewed Victoria, and that Beth sees Victoria as somebody who requires a lot of attention in order to keep her calm, and so Beth knows how to feed this in order to keep Victoria sort of placated. So that shows some savviness on the part of Beth.
Well, all of the Sunsetters have that same type of focus. That's why all the time she was HOH last week. Sorry, was she HOH? Oh yes, I forgot, and she did too. um, they were like, whoever did this, man, they're ahead of the game, smart. Same thing, Kiefer. Kiefer was feeding her all this, like shooting smoke up her ass, right? And
Right.
she was gobbling it up with a spoon.
Yeah, like absolutely. Like Victoria is sort of like, I don't really know. I'm up and down about Victoria. She's always entertaining, but how smart she is and how much she really knows what she's doing versus how much she's just kind of like flying blindly and doing things and seeing what sticks. Not so sure. I'm up and down on it, quite frankly. But just Beth, this was a scene where I think Beth came out looking good to me. I feel like my stock with Beth went up. Another example of what we're kind of speaking to throughout, just in general with her in this episode. We also, I wrote here, Bray and Ro have each other. Like they now are tight. Bro and Raiden. Like like Rohan and Braden doesn't seem like this is. Maybe it will last. Maybe it's sort of an unlikely duo, but
It's a marriage of convenience.
the marriage of convenience. Very well said. Very well said.
Yes, I dipped a little bit into the what is it, the nine roles on reality television.
Okay. Yes. I've heard. I have studied that a little bit.
Yes, including our mad scientist Victoria.
Right. Who's our Little Red Riding Hood? Isn't that one of the types?
A Little Red Riding Hood.
That was like an Amber Birch.
Yeah,
But I digress.
yes, we can bring this up on another episode.
We can bring this up. I want to talk about the scene with Tara and Tina tonight, where they were just again more complaining. We can't believe we didn't win. And it's worst case. It's always worst case scenario when you want it to be best case scenario.
Of course it was. It's always worst case scenario when you need it to be best case scenario.
Always.
Well, that's what happens when you don't have control of the game, and they have, been trying to play in the middle. And what happens is when you try to grab hold of the reins, you have to reach over, and it's a little bit more difficult, right?
Right.
It's a little bit more difficult, right, to wrestle the reins away from those who have been kind of steering this season. So
yeah, I think that Beth makes some good points tonight, and saying that like Tina's just this player who's kind of like floating along and getting to be in the final 8 probably, without having really had to do much other than just kind of be good with everybody, which not taken away from her, but she also hasn't done a lot to keep herself here too. There's always just been somebody bigger, like let the snakes fight the snakes, and that's been working for Tina and Tara until this week.
Like a good social game where you're not really a target can only last you for so long, because what is your argument going to be when you reach the end? And that's something that you have to start thinking about, your resume. And at least you can talk about Rohan. Rohan has some wins. You can talk about Kiefer. Keith has some wins. He's been HOH. Victoria has made moves, right? Some of them nonsensical, but there were still moves that she has tied to her name. Now you have Beth there that has a resume. Jet and Ty have secretly been running the game. They have a resume. So you have basically Braden as the only person that you can possibly beat. And even then, you see Braden making moves, talking to people. Seemingly, the presentation is he has more agency in the game than Tina and Tara. So what is your resume going to be? You are final 9. The days are getting short. You got to start winning something, or have to start making movements. And so far, they have not.
Right. Now that we're in this post jury stage here, and then we're heading to a double eviction this week, and we need to remind ourselves of that. if the house guests, I'm sure, feel that that's coming soon because they would expect that they're at least going to do it once in the season. That this is a big week. This is where you expect people are going to start getting their hands dirty, especially in that part 2, depending on who has power. It won't be Beth, we know that, but it could be anybody else. And yes, what was this whole comment about making muffins? Was that to ingratiate herself?
I should make some damn muffins.
Was she making slop muffins?
Slop
or-
muffins, yes, I think that's.
Is it
what
slop
was.
muffins?
I think they're have-nots,
Or
so they can make.
or she's making muffins for the other people, and that's just her. I didn't quite catch that. I wasn't quite sure about that.
I think it had to do with slap mine. Right. There was also in this conversation, they knew that they had to get to Jed. That Jed was actually the one that was going to have the most influence on Beth, if not making the decision outright. And that's what we'll kind of see play out. This next scene was Beth with Ty and Jedson in the pantry. This is where they're kind of dictating to Beth what they want. They're like, scenario 1, Ro and Tara, which is ultimately what we saw happen tonight. They're like, backdoor plan, Brayden. And they're like, that's it. Those are the 2 scenarios.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's actually one scenario with sort of a contingency plan is actually what that really was.
I agree.
Yeah, but whatever. But Beth says like, hey, it's time to, maybe I want to go after Victoria, or it's not time for Victoria yet. And this will continue to be a conversation throughout the
Yeah,
episode.
she kind of floated out there. She's like, Vic? Question mark?
Maybe not now, but later.
You gotta start thinking about it now.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it if it was now. And they're like, whoa, whatever. No, Brayden is the backup. Like, put up Ro and Tara. Who cares who goes?
Yeah. But once again, like, if she gets on Tara, what is her legacy gonna be? Not much, right? Out of like the people that we're talking about here, like that's the least kind of resume maker. Right?
It's a very short-term move.
You can say, "Oh, look, Ro, he's won a bunch of vetoes. It was looking like it was going to be difficult for us to take a shot at him, so I took a shot and I got him out." Victoria, obviously, very big move, right? Tara's
not the best for her game at all. No, I agree with that, because you'll say, well, I got Tara out and that was kind of good for me short term, but that's about the best argument you can really make, because it wasn't like, well, Tara was coming for me and that was the other side of the house. No, it got out a number without getting you sort of directly in the line of fire. But
saying that you're going to take out Tara because Tara was coming for you, it's like, how is she coming for you when she couldn't win a competition to save her life?
Right.
And literally, she probably can't win a competition to save her own life.
Yeah. Hey, that's fair enough. And this is Beth won this fair and square tonight, whether Jedson wants to admit it or not. Okay. Then we got this scene tonight. We have to talk about this. This was the headline of this hour. This whole conversation with the president was Beth, Brayden, Tashawn. I think Jedson was there too.
Yeah.
I think it was just the 4 of them. Yep. And that
no Kiefer.
No Kiefer. Tashawn did not know that reindeers are real.
Reindeer are real.
Yes!
Yes! Because they were saying that Alberta didn't have certain animals like raccoons. But then they said that
I can't verify at all.
I can't verify if there are any raccoons in Alberta. Let us know in the comments. But this goes on. I have the whole clip here. We just have to listen.
Maybe it's based off of a deer, but they're not actually.
A reindeer is a type of deer.
Why are you so convinced they're real?
Because I know. Like, I literally watched.
Where?
I have a documentary on reindeer. Yeah.
And what do you know about them?
I literally told you.
Tell me again.
Reindeer are women. That's something what I told you.
They're all women?
Like, they're all female.
So Rudolph is a woman?
It's a female, yeah.
Biologically, yes.
Yeah. I can't. It's like arguing with a wall.
Yeah. It's okay, guys.
This is the kind of a conversation you would.
The smart one. He's supposed to be the smart one.
Tashawn?
Yes.
I don't think he is the smart one. I get like I don't know what to make of this, but you should graduate high school knowing about reindeer, right? Is this like a reasonable expectation, or is this not? Like, is this like, well,
was it just part of the whole like Santa Claus explanation that he just wrapped all of it up into one myth? Like
Perhaps, but
and never,
okay,
you never got
like
confirmation.
I don't know if it's required you have to be a wildlife expert, but I just thought, reindeer is a pretty commonly known thing, but maybe not. He didn't know he thought they were made up. The flying reindeer that pull Santa's sleigh, those are not real reindeer, but Tashawn was this was like I don't even know what to say. Like,
Look, I will freely admit there are things that have happened in my life where I'm like, oh, I had no clue that that was true, or I didn't know about this. Right? It happens, right?
right.
But like the strength of how sure he was that reindeers didn't exist was like, dude, you should like kind of tone it down and kind of listen through this because you could be wrong. You can't even verify yourself, so why are you asking for them to verify?
Yeah, it's not like you're sitting around a conversation. You can just look this up on Wikipedia and show him, because that's kind of what would happen in real life now. But because they're in the house, these kind of conversations happen where you can actually learn from people. You can kind of expose what people don't know about too. And like this idea, how he's talking to Braden in this clip, he's like, yeah, tell me about the magical reindeer. Tell me about what they do. Oh, they're a type of deer, are they? What do you
All
mean?
women? All
Yeah,
women?
I don't know about this all women thing. I don't know where this was coming from. Is this something I don't know, or was?
Let's verify. I got.
Can we
my
fact
friend
check
over here.
this?
Alexa,
Are reindeer
are
all
reindeer
women?
women?
Reindeer all female?
That's not true.
Oh, that was pretty definite.
Well, that's pretty. Yeah. I think it's that they all have antlers. Maybe that's
Alexa, what are reindeer?
According to Wikipedia, the reindeer, also known as caribou in North America, is a species of deer with circumpolar distribution, native to Arctic, subarctic, tundra, boreal, and mountainous regions of Northern Europe, Siberia, and North America. This includes both sedentary and migratory populations.
It's going a little bit too much detail.
Okay, it's giving us a lot of detail there about the reindeer, also known as caribou. So if you said to Sean, if you said, "Have you heard of caribou?" Would he say no, or
I don't know.
Seen
caribou in my life.
maybe that's the confusion. He just uses a different word.
So wait, would reindeer refer to the female of the species, like a doe, and then like caribou would be the male version?
I don't know. I thought the reindeer was just like
so like even we're kind of not quite sure.
We're not quite sure, but I know they exist.
Difference. Yes, very key difference.
I don't think that they're like he thinks they're like unicorns, right?
Alexa,
that was what I was getting.
Does unicorns exist?
Here's something I found on the web. According to ABC.com, unicorns are mythical creatures that don't really exist, and highly valued venture-backed startups do exist.
Right. They don't exist. They're mythical.
They don't exist. Thank you.
So yes, unicorns do not exist, Ty. But if that was a point of contention for him or not, but no. Yeah. So this was just great. Like just another sometimes I'm like they cannot win. Like Ty and Beth and Jetson, like the trio, they cannot win. Okay,
that's your underlying from this whole conversation. You're like,
that's where it's not just this conversation. It's been a series of conversations. Like I know my ABCs and just these things that like I'm like these kids like not to have juvenoia or anything, but I'm just like juvenoia. Yeah, not to judge on these younger kids, this younger generation, but I'm just like, oh, no.
I've never heard that term before, and I am so going to use it going forward.
It's juvenoia. That's when like the generations have judgment against each other.
Juvenoia. Okay.
Yes. We had at best HOH room tonight. Yay! Were you excited?
I want to see my age. Oh God! It didn't like. It seemed as generic as I thought. Like, if you're not going to put any kind of, spin on it or show a little bit of the personality, don't bother showing me this HOH business. I don't care about the letter. Show me like what kind of snack she's into. Like, give me a bit interest into her personality. What do they have on the MP3 player, right? that
I don't know. They didn't show us any of that. They showed us her sister and her family, and it was. I'm with you. It was a bit blah. I didn't feel more connected to her tonight. After this, she had her sister. Was it her sister who made the joke about the spicy chicken?
Yes.
What,
Yes,
what,
I think so.
I didn't quite know what to make of
didn't
that.
catch it. No, I was too bored. I was literally too bored.
Yeah.
This is the first episode I actually watched with my my mother. So I was explaining backstory to her.
Oh, okay.
And the perfect time where no important information was coming was Beth's HOH reveal.
Yeah, this was a perfect time not to pay attention. I'm with you. Did you have to explain to your mom, Tara and Jedson, that they have no trust with each other, or was that explained enough on the show tonight?
Yeah, it was pretty much explained very well in the show. She
Right.
kind of picked it up immediately, right?
Because this is kind of a segue from the earlier conversation with Tarantino, like knowing they have to go to Jedson. Going to Jedson is like going to Beth, effectively, about trying to figure out what the HOH is going to do this week. And this conversation just made me feel like, yeah, Jedson he has no incentive to work with you. You guys really have nothing to offer him at all this week. And
if it was Tina by herself, I think it would have come across a lot better. Having Tara there was no good.
Well, I don't know if this should have been Tara, or it should have just been Tina and Jedson. Maybe this would have gone better. But I agree. This conversation wasn't great. After that, we had a conversation with Victoria and Kiefer on the upper level. Sort of,
wow.
They think Beth's annoying. They don't like Beth.
I can see exactly why. I can see exactly why.
Well, can you explain?
Doing their best not to judge, but like, she's all up on those guys, like all the time, right?
Jed and Ty.
Yes, and you can also, if you understand people's motivations, makes even more sense. Kiefer has always been on the outside with them. He's always been the fourth person, right? Or the fifth person when LaToya was there, right? And like LaToya, he could understand, right? He could understand, right? But Beth, she doesn't win comps until now, right? And looks like she was closer to them and considered more of a loyal person than Kiefer, who has actually proven on multiple occasions how loyal he is. At the same time, I think also her personality isn't ideal, not as annoying as Tara, but it's up there. Same thing with Victoria. Victoria, since week one, has been wanting to work with Ty and Jed, right? And she's always felt slighted and looking at, she's like, why is Beth there and not me? I've won multiple times, right? And I keep trying to put that olive branch. And Victoria has the mindset that she's going to. Victoria is like any 90s thriller about a jilted ex trying to get rid of the new lover of her target, right? First she got rid of LaToya, and now she's like has cross eyes looking at Beth, because she's like, she is the thing in my way from me being closer to Jed and Ty.
And Beth seems to be at least aware of that on some level, because she's like, I need to take out Victoria before Victoria takes out me.
Yeah.
Right.
She knows there's no love lost.
And if we remember our friend LaToya, who went out because of Victoria, like I'm sure Beth does. But I think Jed and Ty have sort of forgotten that somehow.
Well, I think it's just a matter of like, they're like, we're going to weaponize her, right? She's not a part of the team. We'll placate her and use her as much as we can, and then we'll cut her throat.
She'll cut your throat before you cut her throat. Like,
yeah, because she's crazy.
Right. Like, and I think Beth knows this.
Yes.
More than I think Beth's smarter than the other two, than Jed and Ty in the trio.
Beth understands crazy women.
Yes. I think that's fair.
I think that's it. And she's like, "You guys, you're playing with fire with this girl."
Right. So coming
week is another bullet in the barrel, and they keep spinning it right? And they're like, oh, see, she's gonna not betray us.
Right. Sorry, I had this whole thing too here with the Braden was up in the HOH room. Oh, with Beth and Jedson,
Yep.
right? And there was this whole flashback here where it was Victoria talking to Braden about how she's got more wins than anybody else, and she basically let it just slip to Braden that she kind of is the invisible HOH, right? That basically because she can't help but pound her chest about things she's done, right? And so she let this out. Beth pretty much already knew this because she was like, these moves were made to look like they were coming from us last week, when clearly they were coming from Victoria because we weren't the ones controlling it. And so that's exactly what happened. Just like Victoria stock has gone down. I'd say Beth and Braden both looked stronger to me in terms of gameplay after this conversation. And then we had the family visits, or not visits, but they were like video calls or video messages, letters, if you will, from the different family members. They were all playing like little clips, and everyone runs to the living room, and like, yeah, I get that.
Come on, when you're on Big Brother and you see Jane and you see Jeff there and your dad, and they're waving. Great job, Dave. We're pulling for you. Just keep it up.
Sure. It like sometimes it goes a little too sappy, I guess, for me, right? I'm like, it's okay that you like, hey, I'm so happy to see my family. This gives me relief. Say those things, but like these people who like break down into buckets of tears, like you haven't seen. It's only been 6 weeks, guys. It's only been 6 weeks. You'll see them again soon.
Parents look like. We gotta film this thing, I guess. His father looked like he was like sitting at an angle away from his wife, like they were on the same chair.
Yeah,
and they're like, "Ro, keep up the good work. We're proud of you."
Yeah, it's always like, "Good job." Yeah,
and Ro just kind of laughs at the whole situation. Like, that's me. Me and Ro is what I foresee if I ever on Big Brother. That whole kind of reaction. Like,
right.
I'm not gonna be like breaking down crying to see my sister. It's like, I've seen you for how many years in my life. I'm gonna see you in a couple weeks. No worries. Hopefully I'm richer.
Yeah,
right.
Like Ro had already given a shout out to his parents.
I want to give a shout out to my parents for creating this absolute champion.
Well, hey, that's a nice thing you could say to them, I suppose. Yeah, so this whole thing, Tashawn's dad, by the way, like, is Tashawn's dad like what 5 minutes older than Tashawn? Because he
5 minutes older, yes.
Like Tashawn, like, and I'm a young dad. I was a young dad. Like, I'm not much, like, my son is now the age I was when he was born, or close to it. So but Tashawn's dad, I was like, whoa, like he looks about younger than me. I felt like.
You know what? After seeing his dad, and then when we went to Jed's brother, I'm like, is that Jed's brother, or is that also Jed's dad? I didn't know, because I was getting fooled from the previous one.
Yeah, just like Ty's dad in particular looks so young. I just and he had like all of his jerseys there, I guess, from his basketball teams and stuff.
Which to me is like, I don't know why Big Brother allowed that, because that to me like code signaling to me.
What is it? What do
you? That's a little sus for me. Like,
explain. What did he?
Like, okay, let's say that he need to pass some information. He has two allies, which would probably be Jed and Beth. They could have talked beforehand of saying, I'm going to put the jerseys in a specific order, and the specific order is going to tell you like who's the one. Like, if it's away, you need to throw this person away, and if it's home, you need to keep this person nearby to you.
Oh,
that's a little bit like, that's a little bit too. I would want more control if I was Big Brother. I'd be like, nope, we're just gonna have a picture of you. We don't need something like that. No kind of signs, no nothing.
That's a good precaution. I don't always think about that, but you're right that like certain players could have predetermined signals with, especially with spouses, especially, but any kind of family member that might send you a message. But they could do that with almost anything, like how they part their hair, how they.
True. you want to eliminate all the possibilities, and that one seems a little bit too like um, you can say, hey, we could change things up, right? We can change things up in terms of like, hey, I like the way you have, but you have your hair put up, but we need to change things up because it's not framing your face properly. Can you please just part it over to the left hand side?
True.
Can you rearrange the order of where people are sitting? You can kind of make those kind of conversations and stuff, right? They can flip the video if there's no uh, text. You can flip the video.
Yeah,
So
you can mirror it so that somebody's
okay?
on the opposite side. True. So there's ways to control those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I hope that the producers think about those factors. But
Or is it
until you
just
brought it up,
because I would be cheating like crazy, and I would kind of set up those type of situations to begin with, and
right?
that's why I can suss it out, because I'm like, oh, I would do something like that.
Uh, true. We also learned tonight because we got the call from Tina's girlfriend, that our partner, that it's actually in Newfoundland. It's Big Brother. It's not Big Brother. Big Brother.
I love it. I love it.
That's the Newfie
Yes.
slang coming through.
You changed it. That's awesome.
Yeah. Big Brother Canada 9. Just guys.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. They
Yeah.
need to. You know what? Good for them. Sell those shirts, make that money. She doesn't need to worry about making the $100,000. She can just make it via the T-shirt sales for all the Big Brother.
It's brilliant. That's so Canadian / but so specifically Newfie.
Yes,
I'm all for it.
but there's a lot of like people who want to represent the Beast Coast. So, yeah, make those shirts. Make those shirts. Make the Beast Coast. Like, make all those type of things.
Big Brother Beast Coast, eh?
Yes. Okay, I don't know if you notice it. Why is everyone wearing Kiefer's clothes?
I haven't noticed it.
Everyone, we'll watch it again next episode, but you'll see it. Everyone's wearing the First Nations type of clothing with First Clotion wears. Like Beth was wearing a sweater, Kiefer was wearing his own tie, was also wearing it. You'll see throughout the episodes, people were wearing First Nation logos, and I don't think it was given to them. I think it's Kiefer's.
Okay, well, I wonder if he brought so much of that stuff in and he's been sharing it or even gifting it to certain house guests, and that was maybe a strategy for him coming in.
Maybe. Instead of muffins, you give him shirts.
Didn't Swaggy C do something similar to that?
I can't remember. Was it his own shirt that said?
Yeah,
Swaggy
because you're not supposed to bring in like clothing that has logos and like branding on there. But I think they make exceptions for certain things. Like I think for tribal, ties and things and like emblems of that sort. I'm sure they make exceptions for that kind of thing. And
people do leave their clothing behind. So I know Latoya left, I think, some shoes.
Did she leave that bathing suit for? Was that what she left for? Victoria.
I don't know.
Okay, just wondering about that. Swaggy C, who was a contestant on the American version, I think in 20 or no, maybe 21.
Yeah.
He had like just Swaggy C written across in like his own custom made shirts that he got done at like a custom t-shirt place, and he gave a bunch of those out, and a lot of people, those were still left in the house when he even was evicted in that game. So I think that is permitted, I guess, in the US version at least, to give.
Well, look, Keefest is keeping it real shirt, so
that's his brand. He owned Keith Sutherland. Watch out, he's got a trademark Kiefer and Keep It Real, and he's gonna come for you. Like there's more than one Kiefer on the block now.
If he gets eliminated, like I could see someone else wearing that shirt.
Yeah. Or Keep It Real. Is that about Keith or Sutherland? Is that about like the Lost Boys, man? No, man. It's Kiefer from Big BBCAN9. Just before I forget, there was a vote to save a have not. Who are you gonna vote for?
Can I vote that we don't do this? If you're a have not, you're a have not. None of this like you get a couple days and then you get saved by Canada. No, I'm not a fan of this. So I abstained from voting.
You're abstaining. You're protesting.
Yes.
I
like
go
it.
to I go to the website. I don't even know where I'm supposed to vote. I look at the site. I can't even find the vote often. Like so, and then I forget about it. And by the time I remember, they're revealing it to me on Wednesday. So the chances of me, if I can't find it when I go to the website, the chances of me remembering between now and Wednesday are almost zero. Like I'm just not gonna. And I think that's my other big issue with how they run it. In this vote is that it should be incredibly
Oh, it's
easy.
on Twitter. It's on Twitter.
It's on Twitter. Like, okay, well too hard. Like they send me an email every week to do my OLG pool, right? Like I'm constantly hit up to redo my picks for the OLG Big Brother pool. Like they could do more with this in terms of the fan interaction.
Everything's all over the place. You have like post elimination interviews on TikTok. You know, some things are on BigBrotherCanada.ca, other things are on GlobalTV.ca, other things are on Twitter. It's like everything should kind of be funneling to one site, which should be BigBrother.ca.
Sure, I'm with you. Like, here's the vote. Okay, I guess I'm going to vote to save Tara because I have her in the pool. Oh, and right now with 45% of the vote, Rohan is way out in front. Braden has 24% of the vote. Tina at 15.6, and Tara, who I voted for, at 15.4. So
don't you find like Tina and Tara, like Tina in comparison to Tara is low? Tina should be a lot higher.
Like combined, like Rowan has more than both of them put together. And Braden is beating both of them right now. So I don't think that I think their fan base has gone down a bit. Their star is falling. Anyway, so that's all we need to really say about it. I just wanted to kind of touch upon it. Speaking of which, we had Tara and Beth in the HOH room tonight. So Tara's like, I never wanted a woman to go against another woman. But Beth was having none of it. Beth's like, no, I'm putting you up, but you're not my direct target. But if you do go home, I don't know what happened. Like, I think Beth is a little bit ruthless in her HOH conversations, is she not? Like more than I'm used to seeing.
Or she just doesn't care who she's talking to. She doesn't care about Tara. Like she doesn't like Tara to begin with. And she's like, look, you should be glad that you're not my target. So I'm telling you, you're not my target. Chill out. That's it.
Okay, so are you Team Beth on this?
Well, I'm team realistic, and like Tara has no reason to expect Beth to show her any type of like positive reinforcement about her staying. Like, has Tara put any work with Beth? No, she's been talking shit about her the entire time.
She's saying Beth's like the dirtiest person ever.
So like, you're coming to this person that you've been talking about. It's leaked back, right? It's leaked back. So she's like, look, you're not the target, right? If you go home, them's the breaks. That's a you problem, not a me problem, right? That's how you manage things. I'm setting it up for a specific person to be eliminated, right? And it isn't you. So
it's Victoria. She that's who she really means in this moment.
If it's not Victoria, it's Ro.
But she seems like she's good with Ro.
Yes, but she also understands that Ro is also something that she has to look at for the sake of appearances,
right?
At the very least. And if Ro doesn't win the veto and the veto's not played, Ro's going home.
Right. We had this conversation with Braden talking to Beth about Rohan, trying to get the target off of Rohan. That this is this why Beth is warming up to Rohan too? Because of what the work Braden's putting in?
No, it's also conversations from last week that Beth and Rohan were having as well. Rohan made a lot of Rohan's been putting in work with Beth. Has put in work.
So it was Braden though, right? And did Beth make a mistake here telling Braden that she wanted to backdoor Victoria? Or that because I thought that was maybe showing too many cards potentially to Braden here. If I had to nitpick.
Not unless you know that Braden's going to start spilling tea, then no. And Braden at this point has no reason to spill tea.
Right. Well, what about you spelled the Baconator when Beth took Rohan to Wendy's? I thought that this was odd too. Like, okay, your target is at least publicly you're telling everyone your target is Rohan.
Yeah.
Right?
She was telling the boys, and she was also telling Tara that the reason why she took Ro to Wendy's is to get a better sense of where his mind is at, and for him to spill details about what his plans are for the week.
So this was a reconnaissance mission?
Yes, that's how she sold it. But Tara was not buying it. Tara was not happy about it.
Well, Rohan's a have-not, so I guess that she can also justify it that way, that he's one of the 4 have-nots, and just to take one of the have-nots to Wendy's is kind of a nice gesture.
Yeah.
But other than that, I didn't. Yeah, I thought that this was an incredibly odd move, and I think that this is probably something that. Well, I respect Beth for doing something kind of unorthodox here, kind of going against the grain of her alliance. I think that she might make herself look like an unstable ally here and somebody that people wouldn't want to work with. Let's say that Jedson was out of the game all of a sudden in this double eviction, and she's sort of she might still have Ty in that hypothetical, but do you pick her up as a number in your grouping, or does she just too? I can't trust her, is she like another Victoria who's just, you don't know what she'll do. She's too unpredictable. I can't rely on her to do sort of what's going to be the best thing for my game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with the latter. I think trust is a commodity that you have to be very careful with, especially in the latter part of the game. And I don't think there's much. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah. Was it worth with the Baconator or the chicken and fries?
I hate Wendy's. I hate Wendy's patties. I'm sorry. I always take their chicken. I like their
squares.
Chicken,
they're squares though.
Yes, the square patty. It just has a taste that it seems weird to me. I like the fries. I like their chicken. I like the chicken nuggets a lot. Mm-hmm. Their lemonade, their strawberry lemonade is mwah. But those burgers, I can't do.
I think they're under seasoned. I think that's their problem, more than anything.
I would put it under McDonald's burger patty, which is pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible, right?
Yeah. Well, not that I can jump into all that, but what I hate more at Wendy's is these messages from the friends, because it's the friend message they get at Wendy's is it's even lower than what they got here in this first part, which was this big family thing that Beth got. So it was hey, your friend, your other friend that we've never heard of and we'll never mention again. Well, here's a message from her where she's saying, "Good job, go," and everything else. If I'm sure it was cool for her and her family and everybody else, but for me as a viewer, I couldn't have cared less about this particular message she got.
See, the only reason why I would care about this message is if you could be my friend that comes and gets on that, so you get some airtime on Big Brother, Dave. That's how I would use mine. I would win HOH so that you can get some screen time.
So I can become. I'd be like, "Hey, Jaemeel, you're at Wendy's. What's up, man? Good job.
What's up, man? I know you don't. I know you don't like those burgers. So enjoy.
I know you don't like those burgers, but I can't say that. I'm contractually obligated not to say that. They made me redo this message, so I'll have to just come up with a whole new slogan in order to not trash Wendy's. But you'll know what I mean. Yeah. I know. I hope you got you would get the chicken, right? You would just you wouldn't have to get one of the bacon.
Asiago chicken.
The Asiago chicken. I would get the spicy chicken, perhaps, if I had to.
The amount of cheese on a Baconator also is not a long-term solution for me. So Asiago chicken, that's my jam, my Jimmy jam.
Yeah, they got some good product. They got some good
They
food.
do
Good food at Wendy's.
I wouldn't necessarily besmirch anyone who goes to Wendy's, mind you. I understand their value. There are no Arby's. Arby's is a no-go for me.
I'm a no. Oh, he's so hungry. I could eat at Arby's. Oh, you are hungry. Is
that a commercial?
No, that's from The Simpsons, where they were at, the Lord of the Flies episode where she's like, "I'm so hungry I could eat at Arby's." Like the twins, and she's like, "Oh, you are hungry." Okay.
Okay, sorry.
I just want we are getting late here, so I do want to wrap up the rest of this episode. No more Arby's facts. Beth, Jed, and Ty up in the HOH room. This is where the big argument happens here, where like, Beth's really pushing, like, I would love to backdoor Victoria. Ty and Jed are like, no, this is the stupidest thing ever. We're finally, we control her. She's a number for us. Ty and Jed are worried that Rohan got into Beth's head. But that's not really true. That's not really the reality of this. That Beth recognizes the threat of Victoria, but Jed and Ty don't really worry about that because they think they have the sway over Victoria. And I think the history proves that they do not. I think that actually Beth is quite correct to want to get at Victoria.
I agree. As long as Roe history, let's do a little history, right? We'll be quick about this. History shows that Victoria is a wild card and that she can't be controlled, right? You'll do your best to kind of steer in the direction that you want to, but even then, she's going to do what she has her mind set on doing, not necessarily what is best for her game, not necessarily what makes sense. Rohan has done nothing. Rohan has talked. Rohan has been neutered since Kyle is gone, and he hasn't been the target, right? He's won veto. Okay. If he doesn't play in the veto, then he has no chance. So Roe makes sense as a backdoor. So if you are going to go get rid of Roe, you'd have to go and backdoor him.
Yeah.
Right? That's history. So Roe doesn't make sense as a first option. As of right now, Victoria seems like the best option in terms of how they're setting up the game pieces. Otherwise, we got to reset the board and attack this plan as is. If we're going to have Roe and Tara as our nominations, we need to think about what our step is, because chances are Roe might win veto, right? What happens if someone wins veto and takes Roe off? What are our options?
Yeah, like this whole thing with Jed and Ty and them being obsessed with Roe being up here and being the actual target this week, I thought was a bit odd. But I think that they want him in this veto, but I guess they don't want to take the chance that they can't get him on the block if they need to, because they are convinced that Roe is coming for them. Is that true? Would Roe just put up Jed and Ty?
Are you asking? Okay, you want me to confirm if that's been talked about in feeds?
Well, I'm more asking you your gut. Do you believe that Rohan would do that?
Yes, Roe was going to do whatever is best for him, and then technically, what's best for Beth as well is eventually for those dudes to get eliminated. And so far, they haven't won, but we keep assuming that they're going to luck into a win. Like, as less people are showing up, there's more chances of someone winning.
Their chances go up every time they don't win.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So is Victoria going to win again? Is Kiefer going to win again? Is Tina and Tara going to eventually win? Is Roe going to eventually win? Are those two going to win? Right? So if it's not, let's say Jed and Ty continued their infertility when it comes to winning a champion. They can't birth a win, right? So that means the other side of the house and Kiefer are your only options. And for the most part, they feel that they can trust Kiefer. Can they trust Tina and Tara? Can they trust Brayden? Can they trust Roe? I don't know. But if Roe wins, he's not going to put up Beth. And that's why it's good for Beth, that she can trust Beth. If Victoria wins, and the way her mentality is that she wants to work with Jed and Ty so much, that's great for Jed and Ty, but she'll probably put up what? Beth and Tara? Beth and Tina? Beth and Rohan?
She could easily put up Beth if it suited her.
Right then and there, it's getting murky enough that you kind of have to look and say, this woman's a real threat. I got to take her out for my own good, because I don't think if Roe wins HOH, he's going to put up Beth. Is Tina and Tara? Tara, yes. Tina? No, I don't think so. Is Kiefer? No, I don't think so. So you're looking at it, you're like, Victoria makes sense. It just does.
It does. This whole scene too, right before the ceremony, where Rohan came up and she's like, "I'm going to put you up, and you have to act mad, but I'm going to say you're the target, but it's not true." I believe that Beth actually meant this.
Yeah.
Because I think Beth, based on what I saw with Tara, she would tell Rohan if she was like, really, if she meant this, or if, even a little bit, right?
Yep.
So yeah, and then but it's, it was kind of, I thought that this, in terms of Beth's HOH speech, I thought she came across a little harsh, if anything, even though it was a bit of a stage thing with this Rohan whatever. I just thought, like, she could have just said something more generic, potentially.
If it was harsh, it's fine, because come veto time and the veto ceremony, you can kind of scale it back and roll it back, right? If noms stay the same, right, you can say, well, I had to make Ro feel safe, that he wouldn't try as hard in the veto. If Ro gets off the block somehow and they backdoor Victoria, or if Tara gets off the block and backdoor Victoria, what she says to Ro can stay the same, to keep Victoria in kind of a line that, oh, I'm just a pawn. Or she has Victoria in the block, and then she can kind of reveal, I was saying all these things because I didn't want to raise suspicion with Victoria, right? And that's why I had to come hard, because if I came too soft, she might think it was kind of suspicious.
Right. Yeah, no, all fair points. I think that okay, so maybe I'm judging Beth a little harshly here,
No,
but
you're right. It was harsh, but like, if you're doing something for a reason, you can kind of explain it. If it just seems like you're being emotionally irrational, like how people refer to Kiefer when it comes to Rohan, right? That
yes.
you can't really walk that back. You were, right? So that's more or less what I mean.
Okay, I get you. Yeah, and then this is how the episode ends. So Tara, who's again my person I have in the draft, not liking her chances this week, not liking the looks of this, but we need to get into the spoilers because I don't really know what's happening. So but maybe we can jump into that. But that's the end of this episode. We're going to be back on Wednesday. If you're going to jump off here, if you don't want to hear anything else that's going to happen on Wednesday, then check out us on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll cover both of those episodes as we finish out week 6 and this double eviction that's coming up Thursday. Hope you'll be with us for that. That's very exciting. Also, check out our other stuff here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting, including we did Big Brother USA 22. We've done Survivor. We've done we did Tiger King once upon a time. Yeah, we did that's a full year ago now. Marvel Cinematic Universe, including WandaVision and other things to come, and as well as Westworld. So check out that. Also, our other channel, Live Long and Podcast, which is our Star Trek theme channel, where we talk about on Tuesdays Deep Space Nine. On Wednesdays, we talk about original series. We also do Star Trek Radio Theater, where we do script reads and we reenact the episodes. We just did a piece of the action from the original series this past weekend. Just posted that up, the edited version. Check that out if you have not. Plus, we've done all kinds of other great things. We're going to be doing, like, I'm trying to figure out which one we're doing next, so I can't tell you right now. Also, our third channel, which is called Trivial Debates, which is our monthly episode where we argue about movies, TV, sports, music, all kinds of stuff like that. It's kind of a game show format. Check that out. Jaemeel was just on the last one. We do that on the last Sunday of every month. And the next one will be hosted by Eamon Mader. So
yes, this month's going to be wonderful. I am eagerly awaiting to see how this runs.
It's right? My dad's going to be in for this next
3
one.
generations of Maders involved.
All these, yeah, you're absolutely. All these Maders involved. But hey, with no further ado, I'd like to know what's happening and coming into Wednesday. So here, let's get into our spoilers and let's find Mr. Sound Effect. Okay.
Alrighty. So, what do you want to know first?
Well, there was a veto. So it's all about the veto. So,
okay. Do you want to know who won?
I want to know who won, but I have a suspicion I know who it is.
What's your suspicion?
Well, I'll play my clip on who I think it is. Where is he? I'll give. Oh, here it is.
It's the Road Show, baby!
Yep, Rocho does it again. He pulls it out again and
3 in a
pulls
row?
himself off the block 3 times in a row. 3 times.
Oh, the target is swells. It swells up big.
So I don't know if I kind of I revealed a little bit too much during the show, kind of opening that possibility of if he removes himself from the block. He does. And during this whole process, there was a lot of back and forth with Beth really trying to come to the boys to convince them that Victoria was the best option. And they kept pushing back.
But that is okay. But does that mean that the replacement has to be Braden because that's what they want?
Well, what ended up happening was Beth was talking to other people. Was like, hey, I'm having trouble trying to convince them. And eventually someone talks to Jed, and Jed goes, you know what? Yes, I think Victoria backdoor plan makes sense. At the same time, other people were talking to Beth, and more she keeps on hearing things about Roe, and Kiefer was talking in their ear, and Tina was talking in their ear, and eventually she's like, you know what? I think Braden might be the best plan. Right?
So she came back to Braden?
Yes. But then it flipped again, and it's on Victoria. So
this is like a roller coaster, man. I can't keep up.
Was, yes. So the last time I heard, they were gonna do we were just waiting for the ceremony to happen, and I have not heard up to the ceremony if exactly that Victoria has gone up. It was supposed to happen the day before yesterday, and it was announced for the day before yesterday, but then they revealed it was going to be yesterday. So I haven't caught up to what happened in yesterday's spoilers, but my understanding is yes, Victoria is now joined the block, and Rohan has pulled himself off. At the same time, the television has not shown Braden's relationship with Ty, because they have been spending a lot of time together, a lot of time snuggling, and it seems like there's not necessarily a relationship, but kind of like a comfort, a budding showmance per se. Showmance, or at least they're comforting each other. They are spending a lot of time together right now. At the same time
that is
well,
they're not even showing like hanging out.
Not even showing that. At the same time, Ty, Victoria's been flirting with the guys, and the guys have been flirting back. And
Victoria is married, or not married, but
no, she is currently dating, and we've seen her boyfriend.
Isn't she? Wasn't that her message? Was from her brother-in-law, like her common-law brother-in-law, I guess would be the.
So, what we got today was from her best friend.
But that's the brother of her partner.
No, I think it was another one.
Was it? Okay.
Because that one had the tattoo on his arm and the moosed hair.
I thought, okay, maybe not. Maybe she. I can't keep up.
Maybe she has multiple best friends.
I don't. She does. I know she has at least 2 because they've been on the show.
All right, and then her boyfriend is also brothers with her best friend.
Right, and I thought that's who we saw tonight in her video message. Was the
moose kind of threw me off, and the tattoo.
Maybe, but that's why. So, but she's flirting directly with Jed and Ty, and Jed and Ty are flirting back.
Ooh, yes.
So there's some sexual, there's some fluidity here going on,
Yes.
like with
But
all
at the
these
same time,
flirtiness.
keep in mind that if they are gonna the guys, even before the veto ceremonies occurred, the guys have been wanting to tell Victoria what's going on, and that she was a possibility, because they didn't want her to find out and freak out. Right?
Okay, so
this is when it wasn't that they were going to put Victoria there.
Right.
right? They're just like, let's let her know before someone says that, hey, you were supposed to go up. They wanted to get ahead of it, right? And so they were spending a lot of time. So with this happening, let's say Victoria does go on the block, then the guys can turn around and say, yeah, we were trying to make sure that you weren't going, and our last conversation is you weren't, and Beth just turned around and made that decision for ourselves, right? Like that conversation could happen to kind of save themselves for the jury, because Victoria looks like she's going to be a bitter juror. She's going to be a bitter juror for sure.
Well, it looks like she's about to become the first juror too, right? Especially with this, like we know this is a double eviction. Whether they know that or not is sort of beside the point. But I wouldn't want to be in a double eviction with Victoria, where she could put me up like that. Like she could put anybody up in a double.
Correct, but they don't. As of this point, they don't know.
It looks like here, as far as the Big Brother wiki is saying, it says that Victoria was the replacement nominee. That did happen.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just looking at how this vote's going to go. Like, let's say Kiefer is a hard vote to keep Victoria, no matter what. Like I can't imagine now that Beth has put her up that Jed and Ty are not going to vote to evict her now, right? Or maybe maybe not. Maybe
you have to take that shot with it. You have to take that shot.
Yeah, they're gonna have to take the shot if you're gonna put Victoria up now. So this is like the best news if you're a Tara fan, right? Like that she's looking great
yes,
this
the
week.
Tara stands, but no, this is better news for us, because this is Victoria just freaking out for the rest of the week. She's gonna be like on edge, right? She's gonna be on edge. This is gonna be great television come Wednesday and Thursday.
Could there be some blowups with Tara and Victoria, or will Tara just keep a low profile and let Victoria just like dig her own grave?
If Tara were smart, she would.
But is Tara smart? Is like
well, like what? Also, you would want to still talk to Victoria, because if she is heading out, you would still want to put in work that like
get her vote.
Yeah.
Down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kiefer will probably be in the best position to get Victoria's vote, should he be in the final too.
At the same time, Kiefer has also been downgraded in terms of the group. Right?
Kiefer? Yeah.
Yeah, they're looking at Kiefer now too. So all the work that Kiefer has done in terms of protecting Tina, they've been looking at it like Kiefer has been relaying information back and forth to the other side of the house, and he's untrustworthy.
I think you have to look at Kiefer as somebody who plays all sides. Whether I know he is more loyal to the Sunsetters, but I don't know if you're a Sunsetter, you could trust that.
True. Right? Which Tina and Tara have been looking to get rid of Ty and Jed, and they have at least got Kiefer to agree that yes, that's something that they have to look at. But Keith keeps on saying no. It's in the future. In the future, we have other people that we have to get rid of, right? So he doesn't want to get rid of them now. So there's still ammunition against him. It looks like it's gonna be an interesting week, especially with those two people. And if they get into any type of confrontation, it's
it's gonna be so good. Oh, I'm ready.
Beth, Tara, and Victoria in a conversation. And Victoria's looking to have a fight with someone. She does not want to get eliminated and not have some kind of blow up with someone. So she's itching. She is itching.
She's itching.
Yes.
This whole place is spaghetti.
You know what? Perfect. It's perfect.
Perfect ending for the. I can't wait for it. Okay, I'm so in. I'm ready for Wednesday. And good for Rohan. I think that is. I'm actually happy to hear that, because I don't know. I have a soft spot in my heart for this guy for some reason, even though I did not come into the season liking him. I regret not even drafting him now.
I put him as my. Did I put him as the least likable person?
Oh yeah, we thought he was so contrived coming in. He's turned out to be a somewhat normal guy, but we thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be potentially not too stable.
Folks, when you see our assessments, understand we're judging our assessments based upon the videos that are produced for the show.
Mm-hmm.
When people are auditioning and when people are producing an image for the show, they do whatever they need to get on the show. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily mean that's their real personalities.
Right.
That's the truth.
Yeah, and in the case of Rohan, very much not him in terms of who we saw in that video.
Yes, I could clearly see that I was right in my assessment that was kind of a fake, like the whole. It was a facade.
Right. We could tell it was a facade, and but we thought that meant he had no substance, and that wasn't really true. It's just that none of the real him came through in that video at all.
Yes,
really.
He's probably closer to what we saw with Jed with his family.
Yes, probably.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to take down the spoiler thing, and we're going to close the books here on episode 19. Thank you, everybody. We've already plugged all the other shows, so I think we can pretty much wrap this up. I have to find the sound clip before.
So come back for Wednesday for more Big Brother.
Big Brother.
Big Brother. I love it. I love it.
Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? I gotta find it.
Yes. Maybe one day.
Here, got it.
I'll be talking about this.
Oh, that's
maybe
impressive.
One day.
Maybe one day. Is it?
Maybe one day.
Would it? That's nice. Okay, let's sign off, and we'll be back Wednesday, everybody. Okay, till then.
And remember.